Welcome to the Geostrategic Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another deep dive. We appreciate you watching or listening. The Indo-Pacific balance of power just shifted. Indonesia is officially joining the elite aircraft carrier club with a $1 billion move that has sent shockwaves from Washington to Beijing. The Giuseppe Garibaldi isn't just a ship, it's Jakarta's signal that they are no longer just guarding their coasts. They're ready to lead the region. But does this actually make them China's newest rival? We're breaking down the secret details of this deal today. If you want to stay ahead of the global power curve, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and share this with anyone who thinks SE Asia is playing small ball. Now, I want to hear from you. Is this a masterclass in naval diplomacy, or is it a billion-dollar gamble? There are no wrong answers here. This is a massive moment in history, so jump into the comments and let your voice be heard. I'll be down there replying to the best takes. Let's get into it.
It really is a massive moment. And honestly, the mission for this deep dive is to look past the shiny hardware. Everyone gets distracted by the flight deck, but we really need to talk about the map. This is a fundamental rewriting of how Southeast Asia works. Geostrategy, supply chains, and, who actually holds the keys to the Indo-Pacific.
The map is exactly where I want to go. But before we get into the geopolitics, we have to clear up the actual deal. Because when I first saw the headlines, I did a double take. I saw the word grant, as in Italy is giving Indonesia an aircraft carrier. That sounds way too good to be true.
It sounds like a typo, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a classic case of the razor is free, but the blades are going to cost you.
Yeah.
The Giuseppe Garibaldi itself, the hull, the steel, the engines, is technically a grant from the Italian government.
Oh, grant. Okay.
Italy retired it to make room for their new carrier, the Trieste. And scrapping a vessel like this is, it's expensive, it's messy. So transferring it to Jakarta creates a diplomatic bond, and it solves a big disposal problem for Rome. The cost of the ship is zero.
Okay, so the keys are free, but I'm looking at the budget reports, and there is a very real, very large number attached to this. $1 billion US. So if the ship is free, where on earth is that money going?
Right, and that's where the smart shopper strategy comes in, or at least that's how Jakarta is selling it. The breakdown is roughly $450 million for a loan. That's for the refurbishment, modernization, systems integration.
Okay.
Then you have another $250 million for transport helicopters, and then $300 million for utility helicopters.
So more than half the entire budget is just for the aircraft, not the ship itself?
Precisely. And that's the genius of the deal, at least in theory. If Indonesia went to a shipyard today and said, build us a light carrier from scratch, the estimates are anywhere from, $1.5 to $3 billion?
Just for an empty ship?
Just for the empty ship. No helicopters, no systems. So by taking the Garibaldi and spending the budget on the refit and the aircraft, they're getting a blue water capability for maybe 30% of the market price.
It's like bargain hunting for a superpower starter kit. But there's a deadline on this, right? It's not just sitting around.
No, the timeline is. It's aggressive. The latest intel says they want this ship in Indonesian waters fully operational by October 5th, 2026.
This is very specific.
And that date is completely non-negotiable. It's the 81st anniversary of the TNI, the Indonesian National Armed Forces. They want the Garibaldi as the centerpiece of that whole celebration. It's a huge message to their own people and an even louder one to their neighbors.
Which brings us to this idea of a doctrine shift. You hear these terms green water versus blue water.
Yeah.
To me, the ocean is just the ocean. Why does this distinction matter so much?
Well, it's a difference between a guard dog and a wolf, really. A green water navy is all about coastal defense. You stay close to shore, you catch smugglers, you stop illegal fishing, it's defensive, it's reactive, and that's been Indonesia's posture for decades.
And it makes sense. I mean, you look at their geography, they have, 17,000 islands to protect?
Exactly, but look at the scale of that. We're talking 108 million square kilometers of maritime territory. It's the world's largest archipelago. A green water navy just can't police that. A blue water navy means power projection. It means you can sail into the deep ocean and stay there for months.
So the Garibaldi lets them stop just guarding the beach and start controlling the actual ocean between all those islands.
That's it. And specifically, the choke points. This is where the geostrategy gets really intense. Indonesia controls the Straits of Malacca, Sunda, and Lombok. These are the arteries of the global economy. So much of the world's trade has to pass through there.
And right now, if there's a crisis, Indonesia just sends a little patrol boat.
Right.
But with a carrier.
With a carrier, you have a floating airbase that can just park itself at the entrance of a strait and stay there. It's an operational multiplier. It gives you persistent eyes and ears. You can see things coming from 50 miles away.
I want to talk about the humanitarian angle for a second. Because when countries buy warships, it's always about defense. But Indonesia sits right on the ring of fire. Is this non-combat argument for the ship real, or is it just good PR?
Oh, it's absolutely genuine.
Yeah.
And frankly, it might be the #1 selling point for the Indonesian taxpayer. Think back to the 2004 ACE tsunami, a complete catastrophe. But the biggest problem was that all the infrastructure was gone. Ports, roads, runways, all destroyed.
But the sea was still open.
The sea is the one highway that doesn't crack.
Yeah.
The Garibaldi is a massive floating hospital, a command center, a power plant. They're specifically upgrading its medical facilities as part of that $450 million refit. But the real game changer is the helicopters. Instead of flying from a base 200 miles away, you park the carrier 5 miles offshore. Response time drops from hours to minutes.
That's a really compelling argument. For a nation that expects disasters, a mobile base that saves lives justifies the cost in a way a destroyer just doesn't.
It does. But, I mean, let's be real. You don't spend $1 billion on an aircraft carrier just for earthquake relief. You buy it to get a seat at the big kids' table.
The exclusive club.
It's a very short list. In Asia, it's China, India, Japan, and Thailand. Indonesia joining that group just completely changes the regional power dynamic. It's a status symbol.
Okay, let's pop the hood on this thing. If they're joining the club, what kind of ride are they showing up in? Is it actually any good, or is it a rust bucket?
She's a classic, but she's got muscle. Built in '81, commissioned in '85. She's a NATO veteran, saw action in Kosovo, Afghanistan, Libya. This isn't just a parade ship, it's battle-tested.
How big are we talking?
About 180 meters long. So almost 2 football fields. Displaces around 14,000 tons.
And what about the engines? I mean, we're talking 1980s tech.
She's got 4 General Electric LM2500 gas turbines. These things are legendary, which is good for finding spare parts. They push her to over 30 knots. For a ship that size, that is very fast. And her range is about 7,000 nautical miles. She can patrol the entire Indian Ocean side of their territory without breaking a sweat.
Okay, so for the aviation geeks listening, and I know you're out there, I picture Top Gun, jets blasting off. The Garibaldi has that ski jump ramp on the front right.
It does. A 4-degree ski jump on a 174-meter flight deck. It was originally designed for the Harrier jets, the ones that take off vertically.
So the billion-dollar question, is Indonesia getting Harriers? Are we going to see fighter jets launching off this thing?
No. And we need to be really, really clear on this. The latest info is that Indonesia is not buying Harriers, and they're definitely not buying F-35s. Harriers are a maintenance nightmare, and the F-35B is just way too expensive.
So it's an aircraft carrier with no aircraft.
Yeah. It's a helicopter carrier. And that shouldn't be underestimated. It can hold up to 18 helicopters. We're talking anti-submarine warfare ASW choppers and transport helos. Plus, and this is the modern twist, drones, unmanned aerial systems.
Drones seem like the perfect gap filler here.
A carrier filled with long-range surveillance drones and sub-hunting helicopters is arguably more dangerous in the Malacca Strait than one with a handful of fighter jets. The main threat there isn't dogfight, it's an enemy submarine sneaking through.
Which connects right back to the choke points and the trade routes.
Exactly. The Garibaldi becomes a hunter-killer hub. Its primary job will be maritime domain awareness and ASW. It forces foreign subs to be a lot more cautious, knowing there's a threat hovering right above them.
Okay, let's widen the lens. We talked about the club. What does this signal to the neighbors? You mentioned China, India. Does Beijing get nervous, or do they just laugh at a 40-year-old Italian ship?
It's nuanced. I mean, Beijing isn't trembling in fear. The PLA Navy builds more ships in a year than this thing weighs. But what it does is it signals maturity. It's Indonesia saying, we are a key maritime actor and we will enforce our sovereignty. Even without jets, a carrier battle group changes the math. It gives them what we call credible power projection.
It stops them from being pushed around.
Right, and it strengthens their standing within ASEAN. Indonesia has always been the sort of de facto leader, but this gives them the hardware to back that up. It creates a stabilizing anchor for the region, showing Southeast Asia can police its own waters.
A middle power flex. We've got this.
It creates a third pole of power. It complicates that simple U.S. versus China narrative that we hear so much about.
And I feel like I have to be the skeptic here. This all sounds great, but there have to be massive risks. What happens if this billion-dollar gamble goes wrong?
Oh, the risks are huge. Buying the ship is the easy part. Keeping it floating, that's the nightmare. The operating costs alone are estimated to be somewhere between $50 and $80 million a year.
50 to 80 million a year, just to keep the lights on.
Just for fuel, crew, and basic maintenance. And we've seen this go wrong before. Look at Thailand's carrier, the Chakri Narubet.
I remember that one. They call it the Royal Yacht, right? Because it never leaves the dock.
Exactly. It's a port queen. Too expensive to operate. And that is Indonesia's absolute biggest fear, that the Garibaldi becomes a billion-dollar decoration.
And beyond the money, it's a 40-year-old ship. Things break. You need technicians who know how to fix 1980s Italian engineering.
And the crew.
Yeah.
This is the steepest learning curve of all. You can't just take a guy from a patrol boat and put him on a flight deck. That's a ballet of chaos. One wrong move, and people get hurt. They have to train everyone from scratch.
So they're building an entire institution overnight.
Yes. And remember, a carrier never, ever sails alone. You need escorts, frigates, submarines, supply ships. If you sail it by itself, it's just a giant floating target.
So this one purchase actually forces them to accelerate their entire fleet modernization program?
It's a complete domino effect.
Yeah.
One carrier means you now need 3 new frigates, 2 submarines, a tanker. It transforms their entire procurement strategy for the next 20 years. It's an entire ecosystem built around this one ship.
So as we wrap this up, we have a retired Italian carrier getting a billion-dollar facelift, heading to the tropics to change the balance of power. Is this the end goal?
No, this is a stepping stone. That's the best way to see it. The Garibaldi isn't the final answer. It's the training ship. It's the platform they're going to use to learn how to be a blue water navy.
So they learn the ropes on this one, make their mistakes.
And then maybe in 15 or 20 years, they build their own. That's the real long game here. They're buying the experience now so they can be self-sufficient later.
It's a fascinating play. Part bargain hunting, part grand strategy, all high stakes.
But here's a final thought to leave you with. The Garibaldi is a Cold War relic, built to hunt Soviet subs in the Med. But in the hands of Indonesia, it's joining a 21st century maritime game. If this actually works, if they can afford the gas and train the crews, could we see a locally built Indonesian carrier launching drones in the South China Sea by 2040? That's the question that should be keeping strategists in Beijing and Washington awake at night.
A massive question for a massive region. Thank you everyone for listening or watching. We hope this deep dive gave you a clearer picture of what's happening in the Indo-Pacific. If you enjoyed this, please check out our other deep dives where we unpack everything from AI to ancient history. See you in the next deep dive.